Hey everybody.
Hi there, welcome back to Planet and God. We are doing our Gospel Reading Challenge. We are in the book of Matthew. We are on day
8, so chapter 8. And so this is going to be our last day, and then we're going to take a weekend break, and then we'll come back Monday.
Yes, we'll come back Monday with chapter 9.
This was our longest stretch of reading. Then we get a break, so catch up or whatever, and then we go back into the week. We thought that might be easier this year.
Exactly, and which is why we're stretching it out from the end of Thanksgiving until the new year.
Yep, so...
Cool.
All right, ready?
I'm ready. Let's get into chapter 8. So, I don't know about you, but I wanted to start off chapter 8 with a little bit of introductory material.
Okay.
Because it's very key to helping us understand chapter 8 and what's going to happen, especially as we get up to chapter 12. Very important to know by the time we get up to 12. So at some point in history, the Jews had separated, or the rabbis had separated miracles into two categories. You had category A, which was miracles that anyone would be able to perform through the power of God, Spirit and power of God, and messianic miracles, category B, which are miracles that only Messiah would be able to do. And we see as we go through, especially in chapter 8, Jesus Christ does both of them, the general miracles and the messianic miracles. The rabbis also taught that there were 3 specific miracles that were messianic in nature. Do you remember what they are? We talked about them before.
The messianic miracles?
Yeah.
I think one is mute.
Yep. Casting out of a mute demon.
The other one was... I thought blind.
Yep. Healing a man that was born blind.
I can't remember the third though.
The third was healing of a Jewish leper.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so these were what they had said. In chapter 8, we see the first one, the healing of you did them in reverse order than what I had them.
Oh, sorry.
The healing
That's just how my brain remembers it.
The healing of a Jewish leper. This is the first messianic miracle that Jesus performs. So what makes this a messianic miracle? Do you remember?
No, but I mean, lepers, if you think about it, they can't be around other people.
Right.
And I think too, in the Old Testament, there's only the one guy that was healed.
There's 2.
Where he had to go dip in the Jordan River. Yep. I can't remember his name right now.
There's 2 examples of leprosy being healed as a miracle. You have Miriam, and that was
Miriam now too.
Yes, but that was done before the law, which is why this becomes messianic. The second one was Naaman.
Yeah, Naaman. That's who I was remembering.
And Naaman was a Syrian Gentile. So you have no Jew after the law was healed of leprosy. So that's what makes this one a messianic miracle. Leprosy was a disease that there was no cure for. And if you look back to Leviticus chapters 13 and 14, it gives you detailed instructions for how to receive someone that has been healed from leprosy, how to cleanse them and bring them back into the fold. So why would Leviticus include 2 chapters about a healing of leprosy if it's never been done? And it hasn't.
That's super interesting.
Right. That's why it becomes a messianic miracle. The process of it is detailed in Leviticus 13 and 14. We're not going to go through the entire thing because it's huge, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And one thing that's really interesting is that because there's so much work, the Jews, the Pharisees, would instantly, if someone came into the temple claiming that they were healed of leprosy, it would instantly spark an investigation into the healer as a possible messianic claim.
That's interesting.
It is very interesting. So what happens as the result of this, Jesus becomes officially investigated by the Jews as a possible
Which he was
Messiah.
Already anyway. Like
right.
They were already
watching him, but this is like the springboard into it.
Yeah,
which is crazy. So that's what we see in verses 1 through 4. So getting into chapter 8, now that we got the introductory material out of the way, Verses 1 through 4, we have the Jewish leper that comes to Jesus asking to be healed.
Yeah, I really liked that very beginning part where the leper came and worshiped him.
Yep.
So, yes, he was coming to ask him to be healed, but there's this act of worship beforehand, and I love that.
Yeah.
So, and then it does make me think like, well, how often do I come to the Lord and worship when I'm going to ask him something?
Yeah, worship first, ask second.
Right. Like, he's
Yep.
deserving of the worship anyway, but it also shifts your focus to like, I'm focused on the Lord and not necessarily myself or my circumstance.
Right.
And so then when I do come to ask the Lord about my circumstance or myself, it doesn't always feel as bad. Like,
Right.
oh, maybe I'm putting too much weight in this circumstance or whatever. But
Right. The key to the healing here is the end of verse 4. You have Jesus telling the man, show yourself to the priest and offer the gift of that Moses commanded for a proof to them. The gift that Moses commanded, referring back to Leviticus 13 and 14, and then as a proof to them, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the scribes. Proof that the Messiah is here.
yeah. Also loved it was that simple act of touching him that healed him.
Yep.
Where, as a leper, he had to have been not touched or been around at all.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to see him or,
Be near him.
Right. So it's a loving, compassionate act that Jesus. What else? What else we got?
So that brings us, I broke it down next, verses 5 through 17. In this section, you have Jesus doing what would be considered normal miracles. He's doing different things like he's healing the centurion's servant, Peter's mother-in-law, and many who were oppressed by demons or who were struck with sickness. So you have the messianic miracle and then a whole host of regular miracles that he's performing.
What I love about the centurion is that, he's like, he basically just believed, and he's like, he was going to come and heal him, and he was like, no.
All right, just say the word.
Right.
And it'll be done. Which is good.
Lots of, so much faith within that, just those words,
Yes. I think what's really important to see here, verse 11, really shows that the Gentiles will be part of the millennial kingdom, right? So that Jesus, yes, he is a Jew. Yes, salvation is to the Jew first, but it's also to the Gentile.
Yeah.
Like Jesus came to save the world, not just
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Jews.
it says, 11 you said, and I say to you that many will come from east and west
Right.
and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven.
Yep.
Comforting to know, too.
Right. That we'll all be there.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting to note how Jesus casts out demons. We see this, verse 16. He cast out the spirits with a word. Right? Jesus just uses a word and they're gone, like instantly. The reason that this is so starking and surprising is that there's the Pharisaic way of casting out demons and Jesus' way. The Pharisees, the way that they would cast them out is very much like the horror movie versions, right? Where someone's flailing around, screaming and wailing, and you've got the priest in the corner that's, praying and trying to get the demon out. Jesus, it's no, go. We don't know what the word is, but he just uses a word.
Well, again, going back to the authority of Jesus,
Right.
right? He has the authority over everything.
Yep.
And that includes demons. So.
Exactly. And then we get into verses 18 through 22. Yeah?
18 through 22.
Okay, the point of that section is just that there is a sacrifice of comfort to following Jesus. One needs to be ready for such sacrifice, is what I really got out of that section there. And then 23 to 27, you have Jesus calming the storm. Therein, Jesus just showing his power over nature.
Yeah, I really thought it was interesting that his disciples marveled at who Jesus was in that moment. You know, I mean, they had been following him and doing all these things, and in that moment, they marveled, like, oh, you know. I think it just goes to show you that, like, when you're with, like, even in my life, Jesus or God will do something,
Right.
and not all the time I don't marvel, but sometimes there's these moments where I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's kind of how it was. They were like, whoa, this
Like,
is
whoa.
pretty cool.
Whoa.
Really. Anyway, so we can press on.
Yep. And then wrapping the section up, 28 through 34, Jesus is now in Gentile lands. That's confirmed by the herd of pigs, right? They wouldn't have a herd of pigs in Jewish lands. And then he's casting out the demons from a possessed man among the tombs. The demons here, they recognize the messianic sonship of Jesus. They recognize who he is. And then Jesus casts them out.
Yeah, I think also they also know that they have a certain time,
Yep.
and they're allotted that certain time.
Yep.
So they're aware. I mean, they even said, "Are you, you know, to torment us before our time?" So like they're aware,
Right, that they have a time that's running up. I thought this was interesting. I want to quote this from the Faith Life Study Bible that I have. It's speaking of this section here. It says, after displaying his authority over sickness and disease, Jesus now shows his power over nature, evil spirit, powers, and sin. These acts confirm the demons' confession in 8:29 that Jesus is the Son of God. So Jesus actually doing the work, confirming their claims, even though the claims of a demonic was not admissible in court, if you will, from a legal perspective. Jesus' actual actions confirm what they are saying.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's it.
Cool. Well, that's chapter 8. We will catch you tomorrow.
Nope, in a weekend.
In the weekend. We will catch you on Monday.
Monday, right.
All right, so we will catch you
2 days
on
to catch up, and then Monday will be chapter 9.
2 days to catch up. Monday, chapter 9.
All right, bye.
All right, see you then.